So you kind of talk about reason. Where does the kind of existentialist idea of experience, maybe, fully experiencing all the moments versus fully thinking through? Is there an interesting line to separate the two? Like, why such an emphasis on reason for a life well lived versus just enjoy, like experience
Well,
the
because I
moment?
think experience, in a sense, is the easy part. I'm not saying it's how we experience the life that we live. And yes, I'm all with the take time to value what you value, but I don't think that's the problem of people out there. I don't think the problem is they're not taking time to appreciate where they are and what they do. I think it's that they don't use their mind in this one respect in planning their life, in thinking about how to live. So the focus is on reason is because it's our only source of knowledge. There's no other source of knowledge. We don't know anything with it, that does not come from our senses and our mind, the integration of the evidence of our senses. Now we know stuff about ourselves, and I think it's important to know oneself through introspection. And I consider that part of reasoning is to introspect. But I think reason is undervalued, which is funny to say because it's our means of survival. It's how human beings survive. We cannot see. This is where I disagree with so many scientists and people like Sam Harris. You mentioned Sam Harris before the show. We're not programmed to know how to hunt. We're not programmed to do agriculture. We're not programmed to build computers and build networks on which we can podcast and do our shows. Yeah. All of that requires effort. It requires focus. It requires energy, and it requires will. It requires somebody to will it. It requires somebody to choose it. And once you make that choice, you have to engage. That choice means that you're choosing to engage your reason in discovery, in integration, and then in work to change the world in which we live. And, human beings had to discover, figure out, solve the problem of hunting. Hunting, everybody thinks, oh, that's easy. I've seen the movie. But human beings had to figure out how to do it, right? You can't run down a bison and bite into it, right? You're not going to catch it. You have no fangs to bite into it. You have to build weapons. You have to build tools. You have to create traps. You have to have a strategy. All of that requires reason. So the most important thing that allows human beings to survive and to thrive in every value, from the most simple to the most sophisticated, from the most material to, I believe, the most spiritual, requires thinking. So stopping and appreciating the moment is something that I think is relatively easy once you have a plan, once you've thought it through, once you know what your values are. There is a mistake people make. They attain their values and they don't take a moment to savor that and to appreciate that and to even pat themselves on the back that they did it, right? But that's not what's screwing up the world. What's screwing up the world is that people have the wrong values and they don't think about them and they don't really focus on them and they don't have a plan for their own life and how to live it.
If we look at human nature, you're saying the fundamental big thing that we need to consider is our capacity, like a capability to reason.
So to me, reason is this massive evolutionary achievement, right? In quotes, right? If you think about any other sophisticated animal, everything has to be coded. Everything has to be written in the hardware. It has to be there.
Yeah.
And they have to have a solution for every outcome. And if there's no solution, the animal dies, typically, or the animal suffers in some way. Human beings have this capacity to self-program. They have this capacity. It's not a tabula rasa in the sense that there's nothing there. Obviously, we have a nature. Obviously, our minds, our brains are structured in a particular way. But given that, we have the ability to turn it on or turn it off. We have the ability to commit suicide, to reject our nature, to work against our interests, not to use the tool that evolution has provided us with, which is this mind, which is reason. So that choice, that fundamental choice, Hamlet says it, right? To be or not to be. But to be or not to be is to think or not to think, to engage or not to engage, to focus or not to focus. In the morning when you get up, you kind of, you're not really completely there. You're kind of out of focus and stuff. It requires an act of will to say, okay, I'm awake. I've got stuff to do. Some people never do that. Some people live in that haze, and they never engage that mind. And when you're sitting and trying to solve a complex computer problem or a math problem, you have to turn something on. You have to, in a sense, exert certain energy to focus on the problem to do it. And that is not determined in a sense that you have to focus. You choose to focus, and you could choose not to focus.